Welcome back into the college football every game on the board podcast, the third section. We got the first two already on the WagerTalk YouTube channel and wherever you're downloading your podcasts at, Sports Memo Podcast. We got Jeff from Oskiem Sports, WagerTalk.com. Jeff, welcome in. How you feeling?
Pretty good, Drew. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited for, Maction, which is actually about to kick off here. And we got college football this weekend, a lot of good games. And, as a sports bettor, 2020, I think it's actually a great time to be a sports bettor just because of all the change, Jeff.
Oh, absolutely. I actually have two games going on right now in Action. I think I have Eastern Michigan plus the points. That was a client play that I released. And one other game that I released, I'm trying Northern Illinois plus 14.5 plus 15. So I'm not sure what's happening in those two games, but I really like Eastern Michigan tonight between those two games that I released. So let's hope they're doing well. Hopefully someone can give me some feedback as we're going along the show.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
well, after getting destroyed, I don't want to know about it. How about that?
Yeah, no, it's always a tough thing, betting sports. But I'm on Northern Illinois plus 15 with you, man. So we'll root home the Ruskies. Yeah, just too many points. And I thought that they had the advantages both on the offensive and defensive lines. Both trenches, I think, should favor Northern Illinois and the better defense. Now, I get it. Drew Plitt's the better quarterback, but I just felt like it was too many points, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's funny. We were last night during yesterday's show, we were on talking about some of the games, and we mentioned Akron, how Akron is getting way too many points. My math model had them. They should have been getting 18 or 19 points. They're getting up to 27 points in the market. And of course, they got blown out. I mean, it was close for a while, Drew. I think it was like 28-28 or 21-21, something like that. And I woke up this morning and I saw they lost by like 30 or something, like 35. Crazy.
Yeah. It was so high scoring. I mean, both teams were getting after it, but they overhit in the second quarter, which overbetters.
That's insane. That's insane. That is insane. That's Maction. That's Maction for you.
Maction in full effect this week.
Yeah.
But guys, we're talking Saturday action actually on this section. We got 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, Arizona at Washington. We're seeing the Huskies from Washington minus 11 in the hook at home, 53 being the total here, Jeff.
Yeah, Drew, Arizona was a team that was really a mystery for me. I know they're a veteran squad. I think they're ranked 30th in the nation in returning production, with 73% of the players back from last year. I wasn't sure what to expect from them on the defensive side of the ball, and they actually played pretty well against USC in their season opener. I mean, USC pulled one out, as USC has done twice this year, scoring a touchdown with 25 seconds left. That was a game winner for the Trojans. But you look at the post-game win expectancy in the game, and USC only had a 56% win expectancy there. So Arizona played really well. I was actually very impressed with their defense. They limited USC to, I think, 145 total yards in the first half in that game. Their offense looked very good with their sophomore quarterback, Greg Gunnell. I think it's Gunnell, but you would know better than I would. But he was 24 of 36, 286 yards, 7.9 yards per pass play. And their ground attack looked good, too, with Gary Brightwell. He rushed for over 100 yards. So I was impressed with Arizona. They're 6-1, their last 7 off a loss. Now, if you look at this Washington team, they enter off a 27-21 win over Oregon State. That final score is a little misleading, though. I mean, they outgained the Beavers 408 yards to 252 yards. So you can't really get persuaded too much by that final score. They really dominated the trenches. This Washington team, though, is very young. They're 104th in returning production this season. Their quarterback position, I'm still not sold on. I mean, their depth chart has 4 quarterbacks. And I know freshman Dylan Morris started last week, and he was 14 of 24 for 141 yards. He was not impressive, in my opinion. The series trends in this game, 8-3 straight up and against the spread. The home team is 8-3 straight up and against the spread. And Washington has dominated on the offensive side of the ball. In the last 5 meetings, they've averaged over 480 yards a game against the Wildcats. My math favors Washington by 9.7 points. I'm not touching the game. I would lean with Arizona plus the points if I had to play it.
Good stuff, Jeff. To start it off here, we got Cal at Oregon State up next. 379, 380, the rotation number, 330 Eastern kick in this one, Jeff. 49 being the total, with the Cal Bears minus 3 in the hook on the road.
Yeah, Drew, this is a COVID classic, right? With California, their season opener was canceled against Washington. And the following week, the second game of the season against Arizona State, they canceled, I think, on Thursday or Friday, and they replaced it with UCLA. They only had 43 hours to prepare for UCLA. And I give California a lot of credit for saying, hey, we'll go to the Rose Bowl. We'll play anyone, anywhere the kids want to play. They ultimately lost 34-10. They looked terrible. It was a 9 a.m. kickoff on Sunday. So that game was not indicative of how good this California squad is. They're going to be fine. They're 33rd in the nation in returning production, 18 returning starters. They have all the key positional players back from last year. I really like what Justin Wilcox is doing with this team. And the players, you read the quotes from both the coaches and the players, they're really excited to go and play Oregon State to show the nation that they're not the team you saw last week, but they're much better than that. And I think you're going to see an inspired effort from the Golden Bears on Saturday. The Beavers, I really like the Beavers. We've talked about it before with Jonathan Smith, what he's done with the program. The issue is the Beavers, they don't have an offense. I mean, they lack explosive plays, and they had like 9% explosive plays the past couple of weeks. They just can't move the ball. And I thought they were better underdogs, but I was actually doing some research on this game, and they are 1-8-1 against the number as a home dog over the last 2 years. So that concerns me. I lean with the Beavers, but if it gets to 4, it's a buy. I'll take the Beavers at +4. Right now it's 3.5. That's a pass for me, but a strong lean with the Beavers.
All right, looking towards the Beavers in the Pac-12. We got another one here, starting off with all Pac-12 games in this section number 3. We got Washington State at Stanford. We're seeing the Cardinal -1 in the hook or -2 point home favorites, 64.5 being the total on the farm, Jeff.
Yeah, I released this game to my clients on Monday morning. I took Washington State plus the points. It's now been bet down to 1.5, as you alluded to just now. Washington State, I'm very bullish on them this year because people thought when Mike Leach left for Mississippi State that their offense would struggle. But Nick Rolovich came in from Hawaii. He's a run and shoot guy. That's a plug and play offense. And the Cougars already had the offensive players to make that system work. They're coming off a loss against Oregon. But if you look at the trends in this series against Stanford, they've won the last 4 meetings in this series by an average of 15 points per game. They've covered 5 straight in the series by an average of 13 points per game. And you look at the Cardinal, 0-2 straight up and against the spread. One of my favorite coaches, David Shaw, he's been really disappointing now the past couple of years. They have no offense. Over the last year, I believe they eclipsed 27 points only twice during the year. Again, they have no offense. David Mills looked very rusty last week. He was in isolation the week before because of COVID tracing, but he was back last week. He looked very bad, 5.8 yards per pass play with a 55% completion rate. So I'm not really sold on the Stanford offense, and their defense has not looked good either. So I'm not sure what to make of Stanford, but I really like the Cougars in this game. I think they go into Stanford and they win the game outright.
Heading to the Mountain West now, Jeff. We got San Jose State at Fresno State. San Jose State, the Spartans. I like this team, Jeff. And now the market's starting to get in tune with it. They're now favored on the road, -2 in the hook here, 60.5 being the total.
Yeah, Drew, we've been talking about the Spartans now for a few weeks. We've been high on them. I love what Brennan is doing as the coach there. The program looks great. They're 4-0 for the first time since 1955. They're coming off a 34-17 win over UNLV. And the good news for them is their starting quarterback, Nick Starkel. If you recognize that name, he was with Mississippi or Arkansas last year. He's a transfer. He's played well for the Spartans this year. They have a very efficient offense. They're 14th in the nation passing success rate. The problem with them is they have no ground attack. They're averaging 115 yards per carry, 3.9 yards per carry. So they're not going to be able to exploit the biggest weaknesses Fresno State team has, which is their run defense. Fresno State is giving up 5.2 yards per rush attempt this year. And the problem is the Spartans will not be able to exploit that. The trends in this game, you look at San Jose State, they're laying points on the road. They're 8-32, Drew, straight up on the road, dating back to 2014. Should they be really laying points to this Fresno State team that's really bounced back with 3 big wins? They're coming off a 35-15 win over Utah State. Jake Hayner, I believe it is. He threw for over 400 yards. He's the first Bulldog quarterback. You're going to like this nugget. First Bulldog quarterback to throw over 400 yards since Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, yeah.
Oakland Raiders. Yeah. Oh, Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. How about that? So the trends in this, they're 18-6 straight up in this series. Fresno State, they're 6-1 against the number as Mountain West underdogs the last 4 years. If the number hits 3, I'm all over Fresno State. I like the Bulldogs in this spot. Now, generally speaking, San Jose State, that's my team. I love them. Very bullish on them for the rest of the year. Tough spot for them here, laying points on the road, though.
All right, Jeff, heading to Conference USA here. We got UTSA at Southern Miss. We got 51.5 being the total, -8 in the hook or -9. That's UTSA laying on the road in Hattiesburg.
Yeah, Texas San Antonio, we've discussed them the past couple of weeks as well. Another team I'm very bullish on. They're quietly playing extraordinarily well. They're coming off a 52-21 win over UTEP. You're like, well, that's not that impressive. It's UTEP. But the way they did it, they gained a school record 600 yards in the game. They did it without their number one running back, McCormick, he leads Conference USA in rushing. I think he's number 2 in the nation overall in rushing yards this year. And their defense stepped up 246 yards allowed. That was their season best as well. And they only trail UAB. Everyone talks about the Blazers, right? They only trail UAB by half a point in Conference USA West. They're very competitive. You look what they've done this year and their strength of schedule. They lost 21-13 to UAB as 21.5-point underdogs. They lost 27-20 to BYU as 34-point underdogs. And they upset Louisiana Tech 27-26 as underdogs. Now, on the flip side, you take Southern Mississippi, forget it. All right, they're down to their third head coach. The first head coach resigned after the first game. The second head coach jumped ship, I'm not sure, a couple of weeks ago and went to Austin Peay. Yeah. Now they have their third head coach. And if that's not bad enough, they're down to their third or fourth string quarterback. Their starter, Jack Abraham, is out for the season. Their backup, Tate Waitley, he's questionable with a concussion. He missed last week. I don't think he's going to play this week. And their third string player, he was 6 of 14 for 67 yards last year. The Southern Miss team has mailed it in. I don't blame them. The coaches are leaving. Everyone's leaving the program. I don't know what the heck is going on. I would lay it with the Roadrunners in this game.
It's funny. Southern Miss third string quarterback and third string head coach. That's quite a parlay.
It's crazy. I feel bad for the kids there. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah, really. Especially when the second head coach left for Austin Peay. I'm like, man, why wouldn't you stay at Southern Miss? You're obviously a candidate for the job there.
Right. He's auditioning for the job. That when he did that, that's the red flag. For me, there's something deeper and more serious going on in the program, I think. And that we're going to find out. Yeah.
For sure. We're talking with Jeff from Oskiem Sports, breaking down section number 3 of the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast. Jeff is up over 220% net profit produced all time at WagerTalk. Guys, if you're looking for more of a handicapper, a little bit lower volume, and that's kind of how I would shade you to look here. Plus 71.2% net profit in MLB when that comes around. An all-time on 5% NFL plays, guys, 34-17, 67%. So also, what in 5% NCAA basketball here, Jeff? You're killing it 36-24, 60%. We got basketball starting next week.
I can't wait. College basketball is one of my favorite sports. That's where I make a lot of my money during the year is college basketball and college football. But I'm really excited for the college basketball season. My math model, I've revised it over the last 2 or 3 seasons. I really like where it's at. Last year was a phenomenal season for me and my clients, and I'm excited for this college basketball season.
Yeah, me as well, Jeff. I can't wait for that. And it tips off 1 week from today. So get ready for that, guys. College basketball right around the corner. And we got college football as well. My 2 favorite sports. I think we're like thinkers in that. But, Jeff, let's move down the card here. Mountain West, 387, 388, the rotation number. San Diego State at Nevada. We got the Aztecs, -2-point road favorites. 47 the total in Reno.
This is a phenomenal Nevada team. Best team that Norville has had in Reno. Veteran team, good offense. They're 4-0 straight up this season. Their best start since 2010. Their quarterback play has been off the charts. I'm not sure if you're familiar with sophomore quarterback Carson Strong. He's ranked in the top 25 nationally in yards per pass play at 9 yards per pass play, top 10 in completion percentage, and he has a 12-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. This kid, Carson Strong, has a future the way he's been playing this season. I'm very impressed with him. And the Wolfpack actually have a defense this year as well, so they're playing extraordinarily well, and they're small underdogs in this game. I think that's the way to lean. The Aztecs come in off a win over Hawaii. The Aztecs, their game plan is simple. They've done this year after year after year, no matter who's coaching. They win with defense and a ground game. They're gonna pound the rock and wear you down on the defensive side of the ball. And their defense is impenetrable. I mean, their defense is always very good. And that's the case this year. I think they're ranked number 1 in defensive havoc. So that's going to be a challenge for Nevada. And I think Strong, the quarterback, the sophomore, is going to have his biggest challenge yet against his Aztec team. But I do lean with Nevada plus the points. If I could get 3 in that game, it's not going to get to 3. But if it gets to 3, that's a big step back game for me with the Wolfpack.
Jeff, next game up, we got 389-390 Illinois at Nebraska. Big Ten football here, 58.5 being the total. Nebraska Cornhuskers -14 or -15, depending where you're shopping.
How about this? Lovie Smith, Drew. Lovie Smith.
Good Lovie
last
Smith.
week. Upset Rutgers. They go to Rutgers. They win 23-20 outright. I think there was an outright underdog winner. I think they were getting points in that game. I think Rutgers was laying 6 or something like that. Crazy. That tells you how bad Illinois is. The good news for Illinois, however, Brandon Peters, their starting quarterback, is expected. He's been upgraded to probable. He's been out since October 23rd, so that's going to be an important addition to this Illinois team. But if you looked at what they did in the Rutgers game, that was an inside-out win, like I like to say, is because they were outgained 7 yards per play to 6 yards per play against the Scarlet Knights, and they were dominated in the trenches. I mean, you look at Rutgers and the success rate. Their offensive line had a 69% success rate against Illinois, so that's a big concern. They have no defense. Illinois is allowing over 450 yards a game this year, and opposing quarterbacks are completing 75% of their passes. They're 11-22 against the number following a win under Lovie Smith, so forget Illinois. Nebraska, coming off a big win, 30-23 win over Penn State. I don't know about you, Drew. I don't know how they won this game. If you look at the box score, I mean, this is probably the most misleading final score I've ever seen in my life doing this in this business. I mean, they were outgained 501 yards to 298 yards, Nebraska was. They were outgained 5.5 yards per play to 5 yards per play. Penn State ran 31 more plays than Nebraska. Nebraska had a 39% overall success rate. Penn State dominated from start to finish and somehow managed to lose. So I am not sold on this Nebraska team. Technical trends, forget it. Scott Frost, he's 10-17 straight up. The Cornhuskers, and it's a matter of time before the alumni say enough is enough with this guy. I've mentioned it before on the show, and I mean, Scott Frost is one of these guys who the reputation does not follow him. I don't understand why he's still there in Nebraska. So I would lean with Illinois plus the points, but I'm staying away from this game.
Yeah, I always say with Scott Frost, I even said this when he took the job at Nebraska, and I get it. Like, he was there, quarterback the whole bit, but he had it rolling at UCF, and the weather in Orlando. I know I was in the minority, but I'm like, man, why is he leaving and going to Nebraska? And sure enough, it really hasn't worked out for him, Jeff.
I know, it's disappointing. The Big Ten, I don't know what's happened to the program, but I think the lack of quarterback play is one of the biggest problems he has. He can't get a consistent quarterback. Yeah, that's been a big problem over the past couple of years.
Well, we got SEC football up next. LSU and Arkansas battle for the Golden Boot here. We got LSU -2 in the hook on the road, 63.5 being the total here, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this game. LSU, who's playing? Apparently, they're saying that a lot of the players who are in quarantine or had COVID, they're healthy and they're expected to be back because LSU haven't played since their 48-11 loss to Auburn back in Halloween. So they've been sitting around, and I'm not sure what to expect from this team. But I do know their starting quarterback, Miles Brennan, he is out. The backup, TJ Finley, he's going to start. He was decent in his last outing. But I think the LSU team is getting healthy. What's shocking to me is in this game last year, LSU was a 42-point favorite over Arkansas. Now they're a 3-point favorite over the Razorbacks. Razorbacks, they were 6-0 coming against a number before last week's loss against Florida. They were boat raced against the Gators, 63-35. They gave up a season-high 593 yards. But this Arkansas team is one of the most improved teams in the nation. I think you'd probably agree with that. Sam Pittman, who I did not have high hopes for him. I could not understand the hire. He has exceeded expectations in Fayetteville. He's done a tremendous job with his Arkansas team. So I would, if anything, I would lean with Arkansas in this game. And they have a good pass defense. Setting aside last week's aberration against Florida, they entered that game. They lead the SEC in interceptions with 13. and they are the number 2 pass defense in the conference before they were lit up by Florida. But I don't think LSU has the firepower Florida does. So I would lean with Arkansas. Again, not a play of mine, but if you're going to play this game, I would lean with Arkansas plus the points. They have more going on, a better coach, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they're 6-1 ATS, Jeff, and I'm with you on the Sam Pittman hire. I was like, man, that's not going to work. I don't know, but sure enough, it has worked out for him, and it speaks to we've seen it in college football where it's like Nick Saban can't hold on to assistants because these other schools go, oh, that's working. He knows what he's doing. We'll just copycat it and do it here, and that's kind of what they did from the University of Georgia, I think, and it's worked out so far anyway.
Absolutely.
So we got Big Ten football up next. Top 20 matchup here. Wisconsin at Northwestern. We got Wisconsin, the Badgers, laying 7 or 7 in the hook on the road. 44 being the total here, Jeff.
This is probably one of the best games of the weekend, if not the best game of the weekend. I'm really excited to watch this game. Wisconsin, they had a 21-day layoff, and then what did they do last week? They just go in and they blast Michigan 49-11. So that was an impressive win. They outrushed Michigan 341 yards to 47 yards. They held Michigan to just 45 plays. This defense is phenomenal for the Badgers. They won their first 2 games this season by an average of 38 points per game. You look at their defense, as I mentioned, they're first in the nation in opponent passing success rate. So I think Northwestern quarterback Peyton Ramsey, who's been great for the Wildcats, they finally have a quarterback they can trust and move the chains with. I think he's really going to struggle this week against a very, very talented Badgers secondary. You look at the quarterback issues, though, with Wisconsin. They can run the ball, but Graham Mertz, his season opener, he looked phenomenal. He was almost perfect. Everyone was raving about him. Last week against Michigan, he looked very pedestrian at best. I'm not sure what to make of the quarterback situation with Wisconsin. You have a Northwestern team who can stop the run. So this is going to be interesting to see how Wisconsin plays. If they can't run the ball in the trenches, is Mertz going to be able to step up and move the chains through the air? I'm not so sure about that. The Wildcats, they're 4-0. They're off a win against Purdue. They allowed points. I didn't realize they allowed points in the second half last week for the first time this season, which is pretty remarkable considering who they played. And they limited Purdue to how many rushing yards? 2. Purdue had 2 rushing yards against Northwestern. Crazy. They were 4 of 17 on third downs. And they're winning with defense. As I said, they're ranked 14th nationally in opponent third down conversions, 27th nationally in defensive havoc. This Wildcats team can go toe-to-toe with the Badgers. If I had to play it at 7.5 with the hook, I would take Northwestern at home as underdogs. They're 8-1 against the number of their last 9 at home. They're 7-0 against the spread off back-to-back wins. And they're 10-1 against the number their last 11 following a straight-up win. I would take the Wildcats plus the points over Wisconsin.
He's Jeff from Oskiem Sports, and he's obviously knows his stuff, guys, not only in college football, but in the NFL as well. 24-11 on 5% NFL plays since 2016. So kind of a low volume there, guys. But when you see him, you want to check him out, WagerTalk.com, up over 220% net profit produced all time at WagerTalk. Jeff, next game up, we got Kentucky at Alabama. We got 2 SEC games to finish off this section. Then we'll bring in Teddy Covers tomorrow to finish off the Every Game on the Board podcast. 397-398, the rotation number. Kentucky at number 1 ranked Alabama. We got the Crimson Tide minus 30, 58 the total in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this Kentucky team. They're very erratic, and I think Mark Stoops has been complaining about how they're inconsistent this year. He can't figure out why they look great one week and they look terrible the next week. But they're off a very emotional win last week, a 38-35 win over Vanderbilt. The score the game wasn't as close as the score indicates. I think Vanderbilt scored 2 touchdowns in the final few minutes of the game to make it closer than it really was. But Kentucky outgained the Vandy 8.4 yards per play to 5.1 yards per play. So they really dominated the game start to finish. The emotional aspect of it was the players lost their beloved offensive line coach, 45-year-old, to he had a battle with cancer and he passed away shortly before the game. So the players went out there and dedicated this game to them and they played inspired football. The question is for me is, can they get up again this week to put this effort against this Alabama team? I'm not so sure, but the trends are favorable to Kentucky. If you're a trends player, you look at them, they're 4-1 against the Vegas number as SEC underdogs of 17 points or more. And Mark Stoops, he's 6-1 against the Vegas number as a road underdog versus ranked opponents. That's very interesting. He's also 3-1 against the number as an underdog of 20 plus points. So that has me leaning towards Kentucky. You have this Alabama team. They haven't played since October 31st, I believe. They've won their last 3 games by an average of close to 30 points per game. They really haven't been challenged. And here's a look-ahead spot in this game. I know you're familiar with the Iron Bowl. I think you went to school down there. Or you're very familiar with that area. I know we discussed it. I think the Auburn area, but revenge game on deck for Alabama. They have the Iron Bowl and Auburn waiting for them. And Nick Saban, he's 0-5 against the spread in games prior to Auburn, following a win of 20 off a win of 20 plus points, which is the case here with Alabama. So a very interesting look ahead spot. I could definitely see the Tide sleepwalking through Kentucky, winning by 18, 21, 24 points, but not covering this inflated number. I would lean with Kentucky plus the points.
Man, great stats there, Jeff. I didn't know that at all. Yeah, being an Auburn guy, that's something. Man, Nick Saban 0-5 went off of a 20-point win before Auburn. That was the stat.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Good stuff there. And we got one SEC game left here, guys, to finish it off. Battle between the 2 top academic schools in the SEC. Number 6 ranked Florida Gators at the Vanderbilt Commodores. 68 being the total. It looks like Florida minus 31.5 on the road in Nashville, Jeff.
Yeah, this game. How about? I'm curious what your thoughts were on Kyle Trask before this season.
Really good. Really good.
So you actually were bullish on him. You thought he was going to. Okay.
I knew it right when they not made the change, but when Felipe Franks went down and Kyle Trask went in, I was like, how was this guy not starting before? You could see it right away, Jeff, in just the offensive production. He was accurate with the ball down the field. I made money with Florida, betting him over the total and betting on Florida since Kyle Trask took over. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. I really do.
I mean, he's looked unstoppable, obviously, this year. I mean, he's had a school record 6 straight games with at least 4 touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdowns in the first half of last week's game, which was a blowout win over Arkansas. He only threw 4 incompletions last week. I mean, crazy. As a 28-3 TD to interception ratio. My concern with Trask, and I'll be the first to admit I was way off on this. If you look at his numbers last year, very strong, but he was very good on first down and second down passes. But if you had third down or second and long, he really struggled. So standard down passing situations, he was not nearly as strong as the first down and play action formations they had. So that was my biggest concern, but he's proved me wrong week in and week out here. So Florida looks very, very good. Vanderbilt, they have a very bad pass defense. I'm not sure what to make of this. Florida has won 28 of the last 29 meetings in this series. They've covered the last 3. They won last year 56-0. I'm not sure how inspired Florida's going to be for this game. They could cover the number if they wanted to, but I will say Vanderbilt has been improving week after week after week. Their offense last week, their offensive success rate improved each quarter, which was actually a good sign for them. But I still don't think they're going to be competitive in this game. And if you're a trends player and you like Vanderbilt, here are a couple for you. They're 9-1 against the number at home off back-to-back road games. Here's a negative one, however. They're 2-1 against the number their last 13 as home underdogs. So I can't grab the points with Vanderbilt. I can't lay it with Florida. I would avoid this game. Sometimes the best bet you can make is not betting at all. And this is a game where, I mean, as professional gamblers and bettors and as handicappers, one advantage we have, I always tell people this, one advantage we have, Drew, is that we don't have to bet every game that's on the board, but the odds makers have to post a line on every single game in every single sport. And the benefit we have is we don't have to bet all the games. We can find our spots and where the value is. And that's a huge edge we have over the house.
Oh, absolutely. What to bet and how much to bet are really the only 2 advantages we have. Everything else, the 11-10 is kind of on their side of the court there. But Jeff, good stuff. As always, guys, follow him on Twitter at Oskiem Sports. Jeff, anything you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
No, I just hope that the action is going well for me tonight with Northern Illinois, and same with you with Northern Illinois and Eastern Michigan. I really need this Eastern Michigan team to play it close tonight. But this weekend, I have a lot of plays already released. I have my Friday night game of the month that's already posted. You can get that at WagerTalk.com or at WagerTalk.com. And this weekend is going to have a full card loaded, ready to go in both college and the NFL.
Yeah, check them out, WagerTalk.com. Oskiem Sports up over 220%. Profit produced all time at WagerTalk. So check out his college football and NFL. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Please smash the like button on your way out, and best of luck with your bets. We'll be back tomorrow with Teddy Covers finishing off the college football.